Good morning, and welcome to the Road to TD Garden Bracket Analysis Show. My name is Meredith Perry, and I'm the managing producer of sports at Mass Live, and I am beyond thrilled to be sitting here with Franklin TV host Jay Horrigan and Pete Royce as we bring you a first. Mass Live and Franklin TV have partnered with the Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association to bring you a live show, taking a look at the brackets that were just released and going a little bit deeper into what this postseason will look like. We'll have special guests from across the state, including the MIAA Executive Director, a Massachusetts State High School sports historian, reporters, and most importantly, some of the student athletes that are going to make this such an incredible postseason. But before we get to that, Pete, Jay, thank you so much for letting me work on this with you and having me at such a beautiful Franklin TV studio set.
You know, Meredith, you can feel the energy in this room. Imagine what the student athletes are feeling at their locations across the state. It's just really exciting, and you just wonder which Cinderella team will emerge over the course of it. Which team will get hot and stay hot and run the tournament?
Yeah, absolutely, and to be able to look forward to this, and it's something we've talked about for a while. It's a thrill, and to be able to have you kind of overseeing Pete and I, which we always need, is a thrill for us, Meredith. So thank you.
Now, both of you, there's officiating, there's play-by-play that you both do. What are you excited for going into the postseason?
It is just so much fun watching the student athletes, the coaches. It's everything you think it's going to be. There's student athletes that end up kind of frustrated, upset at the end of the day. There are student athletes, the excitement is just beyond belief. It's stuff you never think you see.
I'm looking for great games. Sometimes in the early season you have some lopsided games, but as we get into the tournament, especially as we advance in both hockey and basketball, the caliber of play will be raised up, and it should be great competition.
And you mentioned the Cinderella teams. There's nothing better for me than seeing that one player who maybe didn't score an entire season wind up getting a game-winning goal or a game-tying goal. It's the best thing.
Exactly.
Well, we'll get started with our show. Up first, earlier this week we spoke with MIAA Executive Director Dr. Bob Baldwin about the excitement heading into the postseason. Let's take a look at what he had to say. And we're thrilled now to be joined by Dr. Baldwin, the Executive Director of the MIAA. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
We've been having this conversation for a while to have a live show. It was something that you've wanted to do, and now Mass Live and Franklin TV are thrilled to partner with you. Why was this such an important step for you?
It's all about the atmosphere for kids and the excitement, and they deserve that. And why shouldn't every student athlete, every community? The thing about a state tournament is it's about the community. Why can't the community get excited about their kids, get excited about their teams? Each season, each year, this is the opportunity to see if it works and get the kinks out. But it's so exciting that you are both allowing this opportunity to happen, and hopefully our coaches, our kids, our school communities will get excited about what's coming up.
Now, you've been a part of this experience as a coach before. Any favorite memories you'd like to share about your own postseason history?
I never went deep enough, but I take a story out of, I'm going to date myself, and people are going to go, I don't even know what that show is, but there was a segment on Happy Days way back when in which they had a basketball tournament, and they were the first people in the gym, the son and the father, and the last people out of the gym. And I always made it a point when we played in the tournament to be the first one in the gym and the last one out, and never took for granted what the experience was like. And all too often it was one time in the gym and we were done. But it's just an amazing experience. Only one team wins. It's not about that. It's about what the experience is in that one game, the bus ride that may take place on an away game. It's just special, and it'll be a memory for the rest of their lives.
Now, you've been involved with this process as a coach, a superintendent, now the executive director of the MIAA. What do you hope the students get out of this tournament experience, whether they're the first one out or the one raising that trophy at the end?
It is the experience. The game is the game, and the game is special, and the game is hyped up with maybe a few more fans and some excitement. But truly, you're a part of something that maybe you'll never experience again in your life. Are you going on to college? Maybe, maybe not. Are you going on further than that? Probably not. in your community with people you've grown up with, you're experiencing something that you'll have a memory of the rest of your lives. And there's a deep history, and your community will remember it the rest of their lives. So, don't think too much about it. Don't get too big of a head while you're going through it, but enjoy every second of it. Enjoy the experience of it. It's special, and it's about to happen.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. We're glad to have you here, and we'll check back in with you in a little bit.
And thank you for everything.
Yep, Meredith, first of all, that was a great interview.
Thank you.
Just so people realize, Pete and I actually remember that Happy Days episode. So,
hey, I remember it too. I'm not that young.
We are lucky enough and thrilled enough to be joined by Mike Richard, who has kind of by default become the MIAA historian when it comes to pretty much all athletics here in the state of Massachusetts. Mike, why don't you take us through a little bit what you're going to do, and if you have some information that you want to share with us.
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm very pleased to be here. High school sports are so exciting, but there's nothing more exciting than postseason. And the beauty of the playoffs, you have a large bracket with a lot of teams playing, and you can't necessarily have every single team be able to go to every single game. So the MIAA website has been fantastic in that it updates in the evening. So if you're watching a game, you can kind of figure out what's happening afterwards. And boy, what excitement for this girls ice hockey tournament coming up. We've got the one seed Notre Dame of Hingham of Division I has been there before. Division II Duxbury, they're the defending champs and have had a tremendous history of their own. So a lot of this is going to be very exciting to follow, and I'm just so excited to keep it going and following all the great excitement for high school sports.
Mike, any other interesting tidbits about Division II or Division I girls hockey that you have there?
Well, actually, with regard to the Duxbury girls, as I said, they're defending champs. They beat Canton last year 5-2 in the championship game. The Duxbury has won more consecutive state championships than any other girls team. From 2011 to 2014, 4 consecutive state titles, 3 as a Division II team, and then in 2014 they were Division I school and won it there. But just fantastic excitement there. The number 2 team, Falmouth, has not been there in the state final since 2015. It was a victory over Wellesley in overtime, 3-2. So there's always the opportunity for an upset. You never can tell what's going to happen there. So very exciting with regard to Division II. In Division I, you have St. Mary's of Lynn, the defending champ. Well, I shouldn't say defending champs. They were defeated in the finals last year by Shrewsbury 4-1, but they're back in pretty strong. St. Mary's of Lynn has won a total of 6 championships in 8 appearances, and looks to strike strong once again. Notre Dame of Hingham has won back-to-back championships in 2016 and 2017, losing the last time around in 2019. They're no strangers to the tournament either.
Excellent. Well, always time for some new teams to make history as well, right?
Absolutely.
Well, right now we're joined by one of the Division II programs, the Longmeadow girls hockey team. We have Avery Ireland, Riley Welch, Maeve Doherty, and Margot Watkins, who are coming to us from Western Massachusetts. Now, Longmeadow came in ranked number 6 into the postseason, and that is actually the highest the team has ever been ranked heading into the state tournament. How's it going, Lancers? Anyone hear us?
Good, how are you?
There you go.
Great.
There we go.
So, Longmeadow, you've had quite the season. Like I said, one of the more historic outcomes, at least going into the postseason. What's been working well for you so far?
I think we just have worked really well as a team. We've learned how to communicate more. I mean, I know that was one of our struggles at the beginning of the year. And we've had multiple meetings on what we need to work on, and we've gone into every practice working as hard as we can. And we've gone into every game knowing that we need to work hard to win, and it's not just going to be handed to us if we want to make it as far as we do.
Great. Now, you've had some exciting games over the past few months. For those who don't know, in Western Massachusetts, there are just 2 girls hockey programs, Longmeadow and Pope Francis. You've beaten your local rival twice, but what's been one of the most exciting games or moments for you all this season?
I think for me personally, one of our most exciting games was the second game on their senior night. It was a team win. We beat them. We wanted to work as hard as possible. I know we were missing our starting goalie, and we were also missing one of our starting D. We worked together, and it was just a really good team win, and it brought us together.
Great. Now, Avery and Maeve, you're both seniors who have spent a good chunk of time with the program. What are you looking forward to the most heading into the postseason?
I'm looking forward. Hopefully, we make it far and we have a good run. I think we will. Playing with everyone has just been super fun, so hopefully, we can continue to play together for longer.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Longmeadow. Good luck in the tournament. We'll now turn it over to Pete, who's going to speak with the Boston Globe's Mike Puzingara about the girls' hockey postseason.
Thanks a lot, Meredith. And we'll talk to a number of reporters here today, so that'll be exciting. We'll like to bring in Mike. Mike, if you're standing by there, certainly a lot of high energy here in the room in Franklin. What's the atmosphere at the Boston Globe this morning?
Oh, so much excitement, Pete. Thank you guys so much for having me on. Really appreciate it. We're getting into the best time of the year with the state tournaments here in the winter season. So it's always a lot of fun, and everyone's very excited to get all these great games underway.
Mike, when you look at girls hockey in this season, anything special going on with this tournament, and any particular thing you want to focus in on that's a little extra going for it this year?
Well, I think just the biggest theme that we've seen around the state is that there's just so much parity this year across both divisions. Really, any team can win on any given night. Any of these games, there's no, clear-cut winner ahead of time, right? You're going into these games, any of these teams can pull off an upset. We've seen some massive results across the state, some big upsets already. It's just going to be very exciting to see, and every single game is going to be incredibly interesting to watch.
What have been some of the surprises on the regular season? Anything of note that you paid attention to here this year?
Well, I just think, you see some of the top teams that, you expect them to go into the season, win every game. Some of them have struggled a bit. Obviously teams hit rough stretches. But the thing that separates, the top teams and, the reason why they have these high seeds in the tournament is because they're able to bounce back, and they're able to find ways to win in games where they aren't playing well, or stretches of the season where they're, going through it a little bit and having rough patches. So I think that that's what separates these top teams, and, for them to keep it going into the tournament, that's what's going to separate the eventual state champions. It's, can you win on a night where you don't have your best? Because one loss and you're out. So that's what makes the tournament fun, but that's what makes the tournament a little bit scary, is that you have to show up every night, and even if you don't have your best, you have to find a way to win.
Mike, we talked about some of the high seeds. What about some sleeper teams? Any particular team that you think might be a surprise to watch as the tournament unfolds?
I tell you what, there are a lot of good teams, in the lower seeds of the bracket. Not entirely sure what defines a lower seed, I guess, but 2 teams that immediately stuck out to me, looking at the Division I bracket, 12 seed North Andover, which is co-op with Haverhill and Pentucket. They had a really tough end to the regular season, and they were in all of those games. They played 3 teams that were in the top 10 of the Division I power rankings, and now top 10 seeds with Notre Dame Hingham, Malden Catholic, and Peabody. So they really tested themselves near the end of the season, and that's going to be exciting to watch. I'm also looking at Needham. I saw them this past week. I was very impressed with how they played. So they're a 17 seed. They've got a really enticing first-round matchup with Braintree that I'm very excited for. I think that's probably, the game of the first round, looking there. Over on the Division II side, again, it's another one that matches up in the first round. Walpole and Gloucester, I think, is going to be a very exciting game. Really looking forward to that one. Gloucester is having, the best season in their program's history. So it's always exciting to see that. It's a fairly new program, just in its fourth year, and it's a very exciting time of the year, and I think there are a lot of potential upsets looking at this bracket. Don't want to make any predictions, but there's going to be some really fun games with some of these lower seeds.
Mike, final question for you. What is it about girls hockey in high school in Massachusetts that is so special to you and to all of our viewers?
I think it's just an incredible community. All of these teams have fantastic players and fantastic people working for them. Some of these coaches that I've met over the years covering this have just been the most wonderful people we ever meet. They're so generous with their time, always excited to talk about the great student athletes that they have, and very excited for their successes going ahead, even out of high school. So it's just an unreal community to look on and cover from the outside. And, the people that you meet doing this are amazing. There's so much competitive nature when the teams hit the ice, and it's a wonderful, wonderful sport, and I'm really happy that it's growing the way it is, especially here in Massachusetts.
Mike Puzangara of the Boston Globe, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you along the road to the TD Garden.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, that's Mike, and Jay, that caps off our focus on girls. We also have another side, the boys' side, and I know we're going to be talking a lot about them. It's tournament time.
We are. It was really neat to hear Mike talk about the different teams and everything, and he's right. One of the great things about any of the tournaments in the MIAA is anybody, for the most part, can end up with a victory on any night. You win that night, who knows what's going to happen next. We're going to go back to Mike in what we're affectionately calling Mike's Corner, and get some information from Mike about the boys tournament and the 4 different divisions there.
Okay, well, first of all, Division 4, a lot of excitement out in Winthrop as they have the #1 seed. Winthrop has won a state championship only once. That was back in the bicentennial year of 1976. They beat Springfield Cathedral by a score of 4-1. So the Vikings are very excited, I'm sure, to try to recap that memory from way back when. The #2 team, Nantucket, now has never been to a state championship game. So the Whalers are certainly aiming for something like that. Of course, the #3 seed, defending champ Norwell, they beat Sandwich last year in a very exciting 4-3 overtime game. They come in at #3. Sandwich most likely looking for revenge and trying to recap that championship they won back in 2022. They're, of course, the #4 seed. And so, just the top schools right there are quite exciting. #6, Hanover, went to the championship game back in 2022 and beat Marlborough. So there's really a kind of an interesting logjam of teams right there in Division 4.
It is, Mike, it's very interesting how, no matter what their seeds are, that these teams, just like you said, we talked about earlier with Mike from the Globe, they all potentially have the opportunity to win. And I'm sure you've seen that over the years as you go through all the history of the various tournaments.
There are some schools that are perennial, people there. I'm obviously thinking of the Division I schools like Catholic Memorial
Right.
and St. John Prep in particular. But other schools, Dover Sherburne, never been to a state championship final before. A team like Stoneham, which first went back in 1952. They lost back then. Their only other time was back in 2019. So the Spartans have lost twice in the state final, made it there, but still haven't had the victory. So there's great history. And of course, this is going all the way back to 1943 when the very first state championship game was held, at least the records that I'm putting together. Ice hockey has just been such a huge sport here even back then. And of course, as we all remember the days of the big bad Bruins and how hockey really got a jolt back in the 70s. And since that time, it just keeps getting stronger and more exciting.
And Mike, it also has gotten a jolt recently with the anniversary of the Olympic Miracle on Ice team. There were so many Boston area athletes that were a member of that team. You've seen videos going around. That played an important role in boosting hockey as well, correct?
It sure did. I'll tell you that still is probably one of the greatest moments in the history of sports in the United States. And you're exactly right. I mean, it gave college sports and college hockey, particularly in New England, a lot more legitimacy. And of course, the Bean Pod is an exciting time of the year, and it all trickles down back to high school hockey and youth sports, and wanting to play for your school team and your town and representing things that way, and it's great excitement.
And also, Mike, just one fact you didn't have about the bicentennial year. I went to my first concert that year and saw Kiss, and Gene Simmons spit blood on me in the front row. So
1976.
That's pretty exciting. I still have the poster for it now, which totally upsets my wife. I was
going to say, I hope you still don't have the spit on you.
No,
I'm
not sure. All right, we are going to be joined here by Nauset High School. We have, I think, if we were able to connect both athletes from their boys and girls hockey teams. Are we correct on that? Yep, that's Nauset.
Yep, this is the boys' side here, and the girls I can see the girls' team's logged on as well.
Okay. Well, since we have you there, Coach, if you could do us a favor, just introduce yourself, introduce the guys around the table with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us. So, my name's Connor Brickley. I'm the head coach of the varsity men's ice hockey team here at Nauset. We have our captains here sitting with me. I don't know what direction this is, but this is Julian Krivos here, Joel McManus, Cameron Connery, and Logan Pullen's next door.
Awesome. I will not remember any of those names, except Logan. I'll remember Logan. So let's start with Logan. Logan, what does being in the state tournament mean for you and your teammates, and what do you hope to accomplish?
Oh, it's awesome. We work for it every day at practice, and I think obviously the goal is to get a ring here. It's pretty simple.
All right. And to the other gentleman, tell us the same thing. What does it mean for you? What are some of as captains, I'm sure you guys have talked about maybe some team goals as well as individual goals as you get ready to kick off the tournament next week?
I mean, as a group, we have one goal in mind, and that goal is to win a state championship. So, that's what we're planning on doing this year.
Yeah, it's huge to be in the state tournament this year. Hopefully, we can go out on a better note than last year. But yeah, I think all the guys are super excited for what we can do this year.
Yeah, especially for the senior guys too, because for us it's all or nothing. So, it really just motivates us to work harder.
Coach, what do you consider some of the strengths of your team as you're going into the tournament?
Well, first and foremost, I think we're an extremely hard team to play against. We really try to utilize all 5 players on the ice. We activate our D a lot. Our forwards are pretty tenacious on the forecheck. If we're playing the right way and we're playing our style, we don't really give up a lot of grade A opportunities. Our goalies sometimes don't tend to see a lot of work, which is, might be a little bit boring for them to stay engaged. But it's definitely a good sign that we're trending in the right direction. So, 5-on-5 with the team that we have here this season will be definitely a tough team to match up against.
That's great. Looking forward as you look to the brackets, I know you don't want to look ahead of your first matchup, but are there any schools there that are natural rivals, regular season rivals, that you potentially are looking to match up against?
Rivals, I would say probably not so much. One thing though, I mean, you guys have been talking about it just before we even got on here, was, at the end of the day, it's just the team, one game at a time here. Anyone can beat anyone any given night, and it can go any sort of way. Last year we fell victim to, a play that you might not see too often on a missed shot breakaway with 5 seconds left in a hockey game, on a tie game to end up losing in a quarterfinal matchup. So You got to make sure that you're on your game every single shift. You cannot let down, and you need to be ready mentally and physically every single night.
You brought up that play, so how did you overcome that? How have you dealt with that this season? I'm sure the players that are returning, that was a little bit of a, I don't know, frustrating / catastrophic way to go out of the tournament.
No, for sure, definitely a tough bounce. But at the end of the day, that's hockey and it's sports in general. It's really just, especially as far as a mantra that we'll continue to live by for our team, is always a next shift mentality. That was great motivation, obviously, how it ended last year coming into this season, and understanding the returning players that we had, that we were going to be able to make a good run at it this year again. And these guys are hungry. They're very hungry for it, and I couldn't be more excited for them.
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate, Coach, you and your players taking the time, using your next shift mentality. We're going to move over to the Nauset girls and talk to them for a few minutes. Thank you, guys, and the best of luck to you in the tournament. Enjoy yourselves.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nauset girls, do we have you with us?
Hi, how are you?
Oh, there we go. All right. I'm going to assume you're the coach.
Yes, Zach Wells, the head coach for the Nauset girls team.
Yep. 4 years of college just paid off. So, and who are we
What did you
with?
say?
My 4 years of college paid off. I was able to figure that out.
You can read.
Yeah. Who are you with?
I'm with Sienna Reeves. She's a senior captain defenseman. And then I have Olivia Avalar on as well, our goalie, and Bella Roberts, a defenseman as well as senior captains.
All right.
Just kind of spread out.
Okay. Love the hat. Awesome hat. Tell us a little bit about how your season's gone, how you're looking forward to the tournament, what you're doing to prepare.
Outlook on the season as a whole has been really solid. I mean, over the last 3 years, we've been kind of building a better record, a better team, and to be 17-2 this year, it really kind of goes to show what the girls have done in the last 3 years, really buying into the new coaching and the new systems that we brought on. We obviously had a loss early, I think our second game of the season, and I think that was kind of a wake-up call for the girls that that was not what we wanted to have happen for the rest of the season. So from there on, we won 15 in a row, and I think that was kind of when you guys got the real message of what we were trying to do here, which is the same thing as the boys. We want to make as deep a run in the tournament as possible.
What, if any one of the players can answer this, any kind of special preparations, any kind of special focus that you ladies have as you proceed into next week and the beginning of the tournament?
Yeah, I can take note on that. At practices, I think we're definitely going to work harder, but we're always working hard, but just prepare, structure more, and definitely work on our special teams. I think we're really good with our special teams, so.
Did you say, Coach, the goalie is Bella, correct?
Olivia.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. That was a test for you. What is anything special you do for Olivia to prepare for the tournament? Because obviously it's a one and done situation.
Yeah, I'm not gonna treat these upcoming games any different than I would any other game. I'm gonna prepare the same way, and it's worked so far. I don't think anything needs to change, and hopefully the team has the same mindset. Obviously, a little more at stake, but if it's not broken, don't fix it. And I think that's the way I'm gonna play these games coming up.
That's awesome. That's a great way to go forward, and. Then the other individual, I believe, is Sienna, we haven't spoken with.
Is Bella.
It is Bella, like I said. Thank you. Really, I'm on my game today. Bella, just tell us something about what you're doing and what you're looking forward to coming into the tournament.
I'm really looking forward to going as deep as we possibly can, and we've already broke records for how good we're doing this season with our wins, and I'm really looking forward to watching my team work as hard as they can, just until there's no gas in the tank, pushing all the way.
Is there any rivalry between the girls and boys team about who can make it further in the tournament?
Yeah, we have a few rivals in the bracket. Like we're playing DY first round. Not necessarily a rival, but I'm looking forward to playing Falmouth hopefully in the final round because they're a rival that we lost to early on in the season.
That's great. That's great. Well, you talked about keep going until your gas tank is empty. It's fairly clear mine's empty since I can't keep track of names. Coach and all of you ladies want to thank you for taking the time to join us, and I wish you all the best of luck in the state tournament. Advance as far as you can, but also have a great, enjoyable time while you're doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, let's turn it back over to Mike in his corner there, just to talk a little bit about the other divisions in the boys hockey tournament.
Yeah, and I feel bad I didn't mention the Nauset boys when we were going through the divisions. Division 3, the Nauset boys, was the #1 seed. They last made it to a state championship game back in 2004. Suffered a loss to Saga 6-0, but I'm sure that between the boys team and of course the girls who have never made it to a state final, but also hoping to do the same thing, it's going to be a lot of excitement out there. And is it Eastham? Is that where Nauset Regional is located, I believe? Anyway, also in Division 3, the #2 seed Shawsheen Valley Tech last made it to a state final in 2009. Of course, #3 Scituate went to the finals last year and lost to Neshoba in overtime 2-1. So I'm sure Scituate has a lot to remember from being at the Garden last year and would like nothing better than to come back and win it all this year. In Division 2, really some excitement. You have Tewksbury at the #1 seed. They were last in the state finals 2 years ago in 2022, and they defeated Canton by a score of 3-1. Of course, Canton came back last year. Canton, as your #2 seed, they came back last year and they beat Hopkinton 4-1 in the finals. So exciting times for them. Woburn has not been in the state finals since 2007. They went back basically in 05 and 07 and looking to hopefully make a splash for themselves there. Teams like Bill Ricca, really kind of an interesting program. Bill Ricca at #6, they won 3 consecutive state titles in 1975, 76, and 77, back when Kiss was king, right, Jay?
That's right.
Yeah. So it's been a long time for them going to the state final game, but, they did it 3 consecutive years in Division 2. So, some exciting things for that. And then Norwood, the #7 seed, they last made it to a state championship game in 1972. Where they beat St. John's of Shrewsbury by a score of 3-1. So a lot of interesting matchups and interesting teams filling out the top bracket of Division 2. And of course, as we mentioned for Division 1, St. John's Prep does have the #1 seed. The Eagles, went to the state championship game 2 years ago and beat Xaverian 6-2 in that game. The #2 team, Pope Francis, they were last at the championships last year, and they won it all, beating Xaverian by a score of 3-2. Of course, Pope Francis is an interesting school as well because back in the 1980s and 70s, they were a form of Springfield Cathedral and Holyoke Catholic, the 2 schools from out west, merged to become this Catholic school out there. So, even though they have not had a lot of success or have not had a lot of recognition, recently, they, go back to some great successes back in the day. And, of course, #3 seed, as we mentioned, Catholic Memorial, they are the poster boys for ice hockey, appearing in a state championship game 21 times all time. They've won 17 state titles. I don't think there's another school in any sport that has won that many state championships, at least state championship games. So, CM always a threat when it comes to winning it all. And, there's going to be some other interesting teams that are working their way in there. Westford Academy, the Gray Ghosts at #9. They had only been to one state title game in their entire career, and that goes back to 2008. Just looking at a few of the others here. Archbishop Williams as the number 5 seed were last in the state championship game in 2010, and they last won one back in 1997. So again, real excitement, and boy, I just can't wait for these games to get going and watch these brackets light up.
Okay, thanks very much, Mike. It's so interesting, all those facts and figures that you bring out. You talked about the number 1 seed, St. John's Prep in Danvers. Let's bring them in right now. We have several members of the team joining us via Zoom. We have Jake Vanna, Johnny Ty, Jack Doherty, and Christian Rosa. First of all, guys, congratulations. Number 1 seed, 17-3, 5 shutouts. Congratulations on the season. You've had a few losses. You started strong with 1 loss, then 12 wins in a row, 2 losses, then 5 wins in a row. Is there such a thing as a good loss? I'll just throw the puck in the middle of your group there, and whoever wants to handle the puck can answer that question. Is there such a thing as a good loss as you get ready for this tournament, St. John's?
I mean, in the end, no one ever really wants to lose, but I think coming into the season after a pretty successful preseason, we had really high expectations for what we wanted to do, and then losing to Hingham on our home ice in a pretty tough fashion was definitely a great wake-up call for us going into the next 12 games or whatever, so we won. So never great to lose, but honestly, it was a good wake-up call for our team. It just reassured that any given night, any team can win, and so it just reassured that we have to keep working hard every day and always strive to get better.
Yeah, so number 1 seed, you are coming off, though, 5 wins in a row, I believe. And how will you keep that going? Because now it's 1 win and you keep playing, 1 loss and you're out. How do you keep that going, the current streak that you have? Some of your other teammates can chime in on that, please.
Yeah, well, I think we just got to think of it as a new season. Brand new season, we're 0-0. It's great that we had a great regular season, but we can't think of it that way. So we just go in with that mentality that it's a complete new season. Then I think we can keep that streak going.
Okay, for one of the other fellas on the call, what style of play can fans expect to see as they watch St. John's parade through the tournament?
I think we play a really fast-paced brand of hockey. I call it kind of a bang-bang style of hockey. We go up and down the ice real fast. We keep possession in the offensive zone, but we're also pretty structured defensively. Our defensemen are doing a great job, especially as of late, keeping the puck out of our own net. And our forwards have done a good job capitalizing on their great play as well as our goalies.
That's great. I want to ask, just step back from the actual competition, just the sport of boys high school hockey. What is it about the sport that you all enjoy playing so much and playing so well for St. John's Prep?
I think one of the things that makes it so fun is that we have a great group of guys. We're all super tight on and off the ice, and going to war every single day with your brothers, knowing that you love them and you go out to breakfast with them all the time, you hang out with them in class, see them in school. It just makes it that much more fun playing with friends. So the tight bond we have on the team definitely makes it super enjoyable.
Yeah, that's great. So your school, I assume, has students from several communities. Is that correct? Or just one, multiple communities? What will be the school spirit as you enter tournament play? Will the whole school and surrounding communities be behind you guys?
Definitely.
Yeah, Johnny, you got that one?
Yeah, I'll go. There's like over 70 towns that are represented at St. John, so definitely
how many
large
towns?
array of
70.
It's over 70. It's
wow, it's
absurd, yeah. So especially the seniors and a lot of the other guys around campus have done a great job supporting us throughout the season, which has honestly been a great help. You can feel the support from the stands, so hopefully they can keep bringing it for playoffs and help us out along the way.
All right, guys. Well, good luck. You're the number 1 seed. I hope you have a long run in the tournament. Thanks for joining us here today on this special show.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Well, Meredith, that was some pretty interesting stuff from St. John's, and I know you have another expert interview lined up to talk about hockey as well.
I do. We're now joined by the Boston Herald's Tom Mulhern and the Boston Globe's Cam Carey to look at the overall playoff picture. Tom and Cam, thanks so much for joining us. Tom, we'll start with you. Now that you've seen the brackets, what's standing out to you for boys hockey?
Well, I mean, I would just say, oh, by the way, thank you so much for having me on this.
Of course.
This is great. It's so exciting to talk about all the wonderful action that we're about to have. But I guess just everything's so wide open. I feel like I've had a million different conversations with both boys and girls coaches about how this is the year that, like, picking the top 4 to make it as great as the power rankings have been, like, good luck. Like, good luck picking those 4 because there are a lot of teams that are very dangerous. I mean, I'm even looking at, potential, if everything goes to chalk, potential Sweet 16 teams. There's 5 potential rematches between teams that at least one point in the season we've said they're going to be a contender. You look at CMBC High, that's possible. Arlington Winchester is possible. Archie's Franklin or St. Mary's is possible. There's just so many of those games in D1, and of course, with the power rankings, everybody wants to play the best. So we've seen all the best play, and it's pretty even.
Cam, what teams have stood out to you so far during your coverage this season?
Well, I know that we just had the St. John's Prep team on, and as Tom said, thank you for having both of us. This is fantastic what you guys are doing, but the Eagles really, really have what it takes. And as Tom said, it is wide open in Division I. But that first line, which we just spoke to, Doherty on the back end, AJ and net, that's a team that Chris Hansen has ready to play in and out, night in, night out. I think that, and again, another team that we talked to, Nauset, what Connor Brickley has been able to do. Logan Poulin has 1,000,001 points, it seems like, this year. He's on the score sheet every night. Former CM transfer, Zach Coelho, and net for them has played fantastic. He's around a 1.5 goals against average. They're a team, even when you look at teams like Shawsheen, who's put together 19 straight wins after losing to Winthrop, Situate and James Sullivan, 145 career points, they are buzzing right now. At the same time, as many upsets as there could be, some of these top teams, the way they've been able to perform, I'm not sure anyone would kind of relish the challenge of playing them, early in the tournament or late.
It's definitely sounding like this could be a really competitive tournament where we'll see some interesting teams make their way through the Sweet 16 and the quarterfinals. Tom, starting with you, if there was 1 or 2 players that you think, okay, we're going to see something big from them in the tournament, who would they be?
Well, I feel like the first one that always comes to my brain is, Chris Hannafin of Reading. Everybody always says you get a hot goaltender, it's going to make a big difference. Obviously, P.D. Silverman of Winthrop is a really big one to watch out for in D4. There's just so many. It's so hard to pick just one. I mean, Cam, like, who would you say is one? It's hard to narrow it down.
I think Tom was right on the button there. P.D. Silverman is an absolute game changer in everything he does, his stride, his shot, his ability to accelerate quickly. And Hannafin is, if you were to take one goaltender, especially the way he performed last year in the playoffs, hard to kind of argue against that, and hard to argue against hot goaltenders in general. But I think what's made this season so special is there have been so many guys that have stepped up. There are so many teams that are very deep this year that aren't reliant on necessarily one person. Tom and I had the pleasure of covering Marshfield in the final of the Ed Burns tournament. Teddy DeVoe was on Marshfield's second line. He had 4 goals. Cam McGettrick, a goal and 4 assists. And, you look at that team with guys like Mike Bakarian on the back end, Kevin Murphy in net, Tommy Carroll has been fantastic at their first center position. But it's not just one, because they need everyone to be that good. So I wholeheartedly agree with Tom and, those first 2 guys that he mentioned, Petey and Chris, being game changers. But it's such a team sport where teams will focus in on taking away those options and trying to mitigate a hot goaltender. So you really need everyone.
I mean, even Jake Vanna, we just had him on the show, right? He's a big difference maker for St. John's Prep. So it's endless. I could say endless players.
Tom, Cam, thanks so much for your time. You can find more from Tom at the Boston Herald and more from Cam at the Boston Globe. They'll have plenty going over the course of the postseason. Thank you both. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
We've gone through a lot of brackets, a lot of teams,
Right.
some terrific, great players. It's quite the postseason we have shaping up here.
It's tremendous. You know, we'll turn to Mike for a few final comments. Mike, talking to Mike Richard, our man in the corner. You think any scouts will be watching this tournament this year in hockey, Mike?
Well, you know, I'm sure there are a lot of high school players that have been sought out quite for quite a bit of the season so far, and you know, when you have particularly at great venues, I'm sure that there'll be some college coaches, some prep school coaches that might want to add some talent to their lineups, and boy, you know, there's a bevy of talent out there and a wealth of talent. So I'm sure that there'll be some people being being closely watched in these tournaments.
It really is, you know, you look, and Mike's talking about it, you look at some of these brackets that are up there, you know, the Division II girls, all the way from the top seed, Duxbury, all the way down. You see Westwood is a quote-unquote lower seed, and they've got a tremendous program. They've always been really, really good. Hanover, things like that. You see teams, and I'm sure you've seen it, Meredith, where all it does is, one of the coaches earlier was saying, the bounce of the puck. If that puck bounces the wrong way, that number 32 seed could become the number 1 team in the state.
Absolutely. I mean, even looking at Division One, you know, how many times have we all been at games or gotten emails from coaches with it was one bounce, like you said, that made the difference, or man, our goalie really stood on her head today and is the reason why we won that game. So definitely some terrific games to come.
I loved hearing because I think it potentially could be so great to watch in Division I boys, a potential CM-BC High rematch. Even though BC High's a 14 seed, they've got to get by Andover. But if CM's able to beat Natick, those matches are not just games, those are battles.
That would be CM's 22nd time in the championship.
CM, and Mike, you would know this. CM is in the championship of every sport all the time, it seems like. They've got to have by far, you know, if you were to take every sport that is played at the high school level here, you would have to see CM's name there so often.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, you mentioned the potential of a CM BC High state final. I mean, CM has made 21 appearances in state championship games. BC High is in second place with 17. So you're talking about 38, appearances combined there. CM has won 17 titles. BC has won 7. They're tied with Arlington and Matignon. And just ahead of that is Malden Catholic, which has won 8 state titles. So, and I mean, CM, it's almost crazy in some cases. They've won 6 consecutive state championships between 1990 and 95, and then 4 straight between 98 and 2001. And then on 2 other occasions, they've won 3 straight. So just, an incredible run. And, you look at the players over the years, those players that played local college ice hockey that came out of CM and ultimately played in the NHL. It's a machine over there.
And the years they've won multiple state titles in different sports is also just amazing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mike, my last question for you is, with so many great games lined up, how do you choose which ones to go to?
Me?
Yeah.
I stay home and follow Twitter very carefully.
Well, and he'll watch your play-by-play.
There you go. Yeah, you'll tune in.
My job is basically to kind of keep the running bracket going in my record. So as we're getting down closer and closer to it, what I end up doing is when it comes time for the state championship games, is I'll take a look at the 2 teams. Let's say it is CM and BC High. How many times that they've played and met one another in the past, and that will be part of the program. But yeah, it's always exciting to do that. So it's very difficult. You know, I live on Cape Cod, so unless there's a game nearby, I'm not going to venture too far out. I'm going to stay home and continue bracket watching, which is, I'll tell you, one of the best sports of the entire season.
Yeah. Well, if you do wind up going to a game, or any of our viewers wind up going to a game, the important thing to know is that you have to buy your tickets in advance through GoFan. You can find that link on the MIAA's website. You have to get your tickets through there. You won't be able to buy them at the door. So make sure you're doing that ahead of time. But
yeah, that's a huge thing that not everybody is fully aware of. That changed a couple of years ago. The GoFan, you can also, a lot of the schools will have it on their pages as well, their athletic pages or whatever it may be. So just remember, you're going to a game, you need to go to GoFan first.
Well, this has been such a terrific experience, our first live show that we've been doing together. Thank you, Jay and Pete, for all of your help, Mike, for all of the interesting information. We have Chris and Pete who've been producing the show, Steve Dubzinski, Jim Clark, and Dr. Baldwin, who have been such a tremendous help in getting everything together. Before we wrap up completely for the day, we are going to send it back to Dr. Baldwin as he gives us one last anecdote ahead of the postseason. Thank you so much for following. We're back with Dr. Baldwin for one final question as we wrap up our first bracket analysis show. You danced to One Shining Moment with your daughter at her wedding. Obviously, that is an important thing for any student participating in a tournament like this. What do you hope to see for some One Shining Moments as we get through this tournament with the athletes?
Oh, it's so unique. Yeah, so I was a coach way back when, and with children in the house, we would always stay up to the end to watch One Shining Moment. And I probably can't stay up late enough anymore, but I think my kids still do. And what's neat about that is it's not about the team that always won. They segue and they get to that by the end. It's about the team that lost in the beginning. It's about the mascot. It's about the band. It's about the fans. It's about the experience. And so it was such a vivid memory with my daughter and I that at her wedding, we kind of chose that would be the father-daughter dance. And it was, I think it was either Teddy Pendergrass or Luther Vandross version that we danced to One Shining Moment. Some people thought we were crazy, but it was meaningful to us, because she knew growing up in our house that was an important time. And then she was a student athlete and played basketball and made a few tournaments themselves. And so it meant a lot to our family, but to the community that is a part of it. Your One Shining Moment could be whatever you make it, and enjoy it. Make it special.
And there will be definitely plenty of terrific moments to come. This is just the beginning with the brackets announced today, and so many games in the next few weeks. Thank you again for being here, and we look forward to hopefully doing more of these bracket analysis shows in the future.
Thanks to everyone who's making this happen. Let's keep this going.
This program was made possible by your Franklin friends and neighbors. Good folks just like you. Thanks for supporting Franklin TV. And thanks for watching.